When Dr. Mihu arrived in Kinmount, Ontario, and opened the family practice here, we greeted her with open arms. It had been a long, long search for us. I don't think there was one particular point in time where we suddenly said we had a problem. I think it evolved over several months. And looking back on it, what happened is doctors just left the area and nobody replaced them. Thousands of people were left without a doctor.
When we first moved here, we had a bank, a school, a doctor. Then we lost our school, which was pretty heavy duty. That was very traumatic for us. And we lost our bank, we lost the doctor, and it was like, oh my God, what are we doing here?
Well, it's just like as if you're going to a funeral home, really, as everything seemed to be going, and you figured that they were going to roll up the streets anytime.
Without a family doctor, life hurts. I must admit, over the period from 1996 through to the point where we did recruit a doctor, there was many meetings, and we used to meet every month. There was many meetings. We'd look at each other and say, why are we here? You know, because measuring success was almost impossible. But we all agreed we couldn't afford to fail. It was too important an issue for the area. Free tuition program for underserviced areas, which means that we're underserviced. Minden is not, Caucasian is not. We're one of the originals. Is $40,000 or $10,000 a year to pay off tuition. We knew we had an uphill climb, but I don't think it ever occurred to us that we'd ever stop. We got lucky too. The Ministry of Municipal Affairs restructured the townships in this area. We had the township building just up the road. The council passed a resolution assigning that building to our committee for 3 years. So this building was just ideal for what we wanted to do.
And they had a sign up a doctor wanted. And she was on the way to the cottage, so she went in and looked through the windows all, and then phoned them up.
That's right. It's a big billboard, just like you see. Doctor wanted. Call such a number, and that's how she applied to it.
We wanted to move out of the city. I mean, we wanted land, so we kept looking further and further north until we actually found this house before I even considered starting the practice here. One day we were just driving by, we got to Norland, and we just kept coming towards Kinmount, and they had this big sign in front of the building, doctors wanted. So when we drove through it, it just felt so right. It was almost like when I landed in Canada and I said, I'm finally home. It was the same kind of feeling. How are you guys?
All right.
Good. Do you have a nice weekend?
Nice, yeah.
Great.
Awful hot.
Yeah. Hey, we better not complain. Winter is around the corner.
You'll be praying for this in January.
At the beginning, I didn't know how to set up a practice. The community said, don't worry about the money, we'll buy all the equipment, and you just need to walk in and practice medicine. And that's what happened. The most frequently asked question was, are you really going to stay?
have an appointment for you for your test here that...
Come on down.
Yes, ma'am.
How are you?
Not bad.
That's good.
Good today.
And this is for your abdominal ultrasound in Bobcaygeon.
What's happening with your stomach? What's the follow-up now? When is your next CAT scan?
Well, we had a tumor, as you already know
Yeah.
that. You had a tumor.
Sure.
I guess it was cancerous, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was cancer. Well, they removed all my stomach. They took it all out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't have a stomach like an ordinary person. Of course, I never was normal anyway, so.
Do you still get the chest pains every now and then?
Every once in a while, not too much.
Yeah.
Every once in a while.
Okay, just
The first time I met Bill, and he was one of my first patients.
again.
He had just been diagnosed with stomach cancer, and he was convinced that he wasn't going to reach Christmas and New Year.
I haven't got one.
You haven't got one?
Well, that's what you're
I
telling me.
think you do.
I helped him through his recovery, and he's built this enormous trust in me, which sometimes scares me. He has this faith that as long as I look after him, he's going to be okay. And certainly try to do my best, and so is he. So he tries to follow my advice, and hopefully he will stay free of cancer.
Looks good.
Okay,
You're good for another month, Bill.
good for another month.
Okay, if you have any problems if your sugars are starting to get really low, come back sooner, okay?
Oh, Bill, I have something here for you. For Leah.
Okay.
Thank
you.
You have a nice day. Keep cool.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. All right.
I knew Kinmount was in real need of a doctor, but it came as a big surprise that in 3 months we were full.
Just check her.
We had over 2,000 patients, and we had to decide whether we would start turning patients away or open a waiting list.
Let's stand you up. Let's see how tall you are. No? We'll have Mommy stand you up.
Hi, good morning, Betty. This is Nelly from Dr. Mihu's office. How are you?
When I started to set up the practice, I needed to think about hiring somebody.
When did you start?
Somebody who could do not only the reception work and the booking appointments, but also somebody who could take blood, and it was just the next logical step. I asked my sister Nellie,
Enter my
she said yes.
speech and whatever else I have.
Is your sister gonna put enter anything in there?
Yeah, a nice vest.
Because I have some
I
passes
think she was
for
the
you.
perfect choice.
Do you? Oh, that's very nice of you.
My sister and I really had a lovely childhood. We were born in Romania in a small town in the Carpathian Mountains called Târgu Mureș. It's just about in the middle of Transylvania. Very often we'd take off in the morning after breakfast and hike the hills and go in the woods and pick mushrooms and play whatever we felt like doing and come home when we were starving for supper. I'm part of a very traditional family where my sister and I were actually the first girls to finish high school. I was about 15 when the economic situation started getting worse and worse, and politically worse. And then, of course, slowly the food started disappearing. We were standing in line for hours for just about everything, from oil to flour to sugar to toilet paper. And that's about the time that I started contemplating leaving. And I never told my parents. I didn't want to take any chances. It was one of those things that, not that I didn't trust my parents, but I knew that my mother would be devastated. And I thought, if she only says this to one friend, they'll stop me at the border. I won't be able to leave. I did tell my father, if I have that chance, what do you think if I don't come back? And he started crying, I still remember. And he said, it's your life, go for it. So, and I did, which was tough because I didn't know if I'll ever see them again at that time.
I fell through the floor of a building, and when I come down, my arm hit a hunk of steel, sharp steel, it sliced it right off, and I had my coat on, and my arm it didn't fall off me. It
stayed in the coat?
Stayed in my coat, and it slapped me right in the face. Boy, it never hit me hard. So, but I got pinned there where my arm was cut off.
So funny.
She's an excellent doctor, A1. She's a good friend, and Kinmount is so lucky to have a doctor like her. Really is. Really, really, really. I'm telling you, and she's so close to me. She makes house calls. That's wonderful too.
Yes, she does so.
She's kept me living.
Pat and Ambrose are really lovely people. I did persuade her to come in for a physical, and because she did have a chronic cough, we did an x-ray, which unfortunately showed a shadow on her lung. She went on to have a course of chemotherapy, but unfortunately she ended up with a severe infection. I'll give you a hug. It's been a while.
Yes, it has.
So, how is your chest lately?
Good.
Good. She will have to make the decision whether she wants to go through another course of chemo or not. She's quite concerned about it now after the last episode. What we should do, as you know, you have the CAT scan on the 6th, which is almost a month, right?
Yeah.
We've become very close from the beginning. She is a very strong lady who doesn't come to the doctor unless she absolutely needs to.
Yeah, good. Right? I don't know. I have a funny feel.
How do you feel about?
I don't know. I just have a funny feel.
Is it a good feel or a bad feel?
No, bad feel.
Oh, really? Well, you know what? You've been pretty good before. You've surprised us. So
yes, yeah.
Why do you think it's gone?
I don't know. Just a funny feeling. Gut feeling,
yeah.
Maybe.
If it is, what do you think you're going to do about it?
I don't know. I'll have to think about
yet,
that.
Eh? We'll talk about it a little prick now.
Dr. Worsbecky, talk to him.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be a tough decision what to do. Take chemo and put up with the immune system all gone, the blood work all gone again, or,
It's the unknown that you don't know about is the scary part of it.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe none of us know for sure what's going to happen, but
no, you don't.
We have to make that decision when the time comes.
Made quite a difference for me. With her help, I've really turned my health around. I've quit smoking, and so I'm kind of glad we got a doctor here, because without one here, you're kind of reluctant sometimes to look after yourself the way you should.
Men here have this tendency to stay away from the doctor and play tough until they're really in trouble. How are your sugars?
I think it's fine. I know no problems.
Excellent. Are you checking them or you don't really have much time?
Not when you work 10 hours a day.
Well, you should at least check it before you go to work and then when you
Okay.
get back, just before supper. I know it's hard and I know you guys make your money at this time of the year,
For
but
sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
just relax your arm. It's still high a bit. You took your pills today,
yes.
did you?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we should probably. Many people's diets are not the best, and that has to do also with the kind of work they do. We can blame it today on that.
On the
so
heat.
that's right, yeah. So maybe just drop in as you usually. Tom, for example, works extremely long hours on the road, and he needs to plan his meals in the morning, and for somebody with diabetes, that's rather difficult. So I don't want to change too many things at the same time.
Okay.
Already?
Thanks.
Go and rest.
Thank you.
Have some supper and have a nap.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care, Tom.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
day.
Give Melissa my best wishes. I guess
shall.
I'll be seeing her this week, eh?
Yes, I hope so.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye. I finally left Romania and I landed in Canada. I had $50 in my pocket. I could hardly speak English. I had one suitcase and I felt like I'm finally home. And I really looked at making a new life for myself somehow. I wanted to go to university really badly. And by September, so this is 3 months, I was registered as a special student in an introductory psychology course. And for me, it wasn't one of those lifetime dreams. I'm gonna become a doctor or nothing else. It was just there. It just happened.
Refreshing to see.
Hopefully there will be some rain.
Well, I don't think so. There was a little wind there that gave hope and then it petered out so fast it's not funny.
I met Jean-Claude very soon after arriving in Canada. We met at the swimming pool, and one day he showed up with his gym bag and half a dozen roses. So he asked me out, and we first went out on Halloween, which is still our favorite holiday. Jean-Claude was able to set up the business part of the practice. I was fortunate enough that he did have the business administration background. Had Jean-Claude not decided to do that part, I probably wouldn't have taken this on.
You put a lot of butter on.
Never had a lady doctor before.
She discovered that he has cirrhosis of the liver and hepatitis C from a blood transfusion.
I saw a doctor in General Hospital, and he said, well, he said, I could book you into the hospital here, but it wouldn't be a very nice thing we have to do. And he said, what do you want, quality or quantity? I said, I want them both. But he said, well, you can't have it. So you can either stay with me and I'll see what I can do that way, or else I'll put you on a medication. I took the medication.
Okay, come on down.
Okay.
Nice day we are having. Dave contracted hepatitis C through a blood transfusion in the 80s, and he is qualified to receive compensation from the government. Unfortunately, the process is so onerous, and there were hundreds of forms, maybe not quite, but close enough that we needed to fill out. So the first part where I played a fairly significant role is to just apply for the compensation.
Out of 3,000 people that had hepatitis C last year, there's 2,000 left. 1,000 died last year. So it doesn't make you feel any better.
How is your driving? Do you find this difficult?
No, I have no problem driving. Just my wife has a problem with me driving.
What's your concern, Lila?
He's all right at first.
Yeah.
Then when he begins to get tired, he's all over the road and then having fits.
Now, why do you think that is? Is it the dizziness, or your concentration, or your eyes?
Well, my concentration more than anything. Yeah.
You need your independence. If you can't drive, it's hard to get groceries. It's hard. And when is your license up for renewal?
Oh, I just renewed it May the 1st.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he passed it.
Yeah.
Were you hoping he wouldn't? Because you seem concerned about that.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I just want to let you know that if, as a medical doctor, if I feel that you are unsafe to drive, I have an obligation to inform the ministry. I think we'll just wait a little while. I would strongly advise you not to drive outside, you know, long distance. So
No,
just drive in Kinmount
it's
because...
a long distance.
Yeah.
I don't have any troubles.
His passengers do.
Pretty hard up here, not, you know, to get around if you're having a car. I'll try not to stagger and then we'll be all right.
This is always one of the most difficult decisions to make, because you take their license away, they're stuck. Even though they live in town, you know, how are they going to get groceries? How are they going to get around? And if they do get around, is it safe or not? I'll have to sleep on this one a few nights and make a decision. It always breaks my heart to do it, but then if they end up into an accident, it's not good for anybody.
And we come home on Tuesday, and that's when the policeman met us. Him and chums, well, they swam all weekend. They tootled around the yard here and over at the camp, and he was on his way back to Bob Cajun to pick up his truck. Him and his buddy, and they run off the road, and both of them were killed. Now when you go outside to do something, you go to do it and you turn around and say, you know, to ask them what you should do. So, but it will get better, they say. I just hope it don't take too long.
$136.85.
I don't know. I wonder what's going on.
Why, you feel dizzy, or
I just don't feel.
you don't feel right?
Terry unfortunately lost his 18-year-old son in a tragic car accident. And he has a fairly significant heart history, including a bypass. So he's had lots of
vague complaints and chest pains, which are likely related to grief.
How was your blood pressure now? Same thing?
136, yeah, same one you took.
Yeah.
I just kind of give up. You know, just, I don't know whether it was looking for a way out or just try to forget everything.
See, try not to move now. You okay?
Because of his previous heart condition, I don't want to take chances with in a situation like this. And fortunately, we have the electrocardiogram. It's wonderful to have it.
Okay, I'll have Elena look at it and she'll be right with you, okay? This is the first one, and then I did another one. If it's okay, then I can take him off. And
yeah, this looks fine. Thank you.
It's okay?
Yep.
Do you want me to take him off, or you are gonna take him off?
I'll take him off. Go ahead. So it looks fine, Terry. It's not your heart. Are you okay? You're probably freezing by now, right? No? Okay. Yeah, actually, your cardiogram looks pretty good, considering
all
the surgery and all the other problems that you've had. Yeah. I'm fascinated by, you know, the power of our emotions and how it impacts on our physical health, which is still one of the big things that most people don't understand. You know, we still try to find a quick fix for our physical ailments, and we don't understand how much power our mind and our emotions has over keeping us healthy.
The cancer is, of course, as you know, I have type of cancer that doesn't go away completely, but it really has shrunk. So Dr. Becky said, no more chemo for now. Come back and see me in 3 months. Have a good day. So that's it. And the same as Elena says, you amaze us. Same as Dr. Becky down there, Donna College says, you amaze us. You amaze us. He says, chemo works well with you. You amaze us. I said, well, you can't keep this half-breed down. So anyway, I'm pleased. I'm pleased.
Stick your tongue out. Big, big, big. Look up. Excellent.
Oh, you're a good
Wow,
boy.
you're
a
so
good boy.
brave. Wonderful. What are you doing? I receive letters from recruitment companies in the United States promising all kinds of things. But I couldn't even contemplate making a major move for the money. I think that we have a great healthcare system. It's not perfect, but I still like the idea that everybody can have healthcare.
Try to blow Daddy's finger over.
Good job. Again. Excellent. Kinmount loves parades, like all little towns, including small towns of my childhood in Romania. It's very difficult to make friends in such a small community. I had concerns that I would feel socially isolated, particularly because everybody's very patient. That is a little bit of a problem. I do miss some of that. Nellie and I are really happy that my mother is visiting.
He's going to be one of those
I guess I am. How are ya?
Alrighty. One for you, one for me. Did you want first?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty?
Congratulations.
Of course, I'm very modest, but you know, I worked hard. Nem tudom, hogy most merre kell menni, tudod?
Én nem tudom, mert nem mondtam.
Actually, I asked my mom this question. How did I become so competitive or why? And she says she has no idea. She just remembers that I was always like that. I always wanted to be the best at whatever I was doing.
And mommy won a third prize.
Did mommy win a third prize?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, good for
Pretty
you.
face, nyerte, like
No
what
wonder,
did
no wonder you have such beautiful daughters.
Well, thank you.
Look at her. Look how.
Well, that's what she was saying, that Canada should be grateful that she gave Canada two great daughters.
Two great daughters. And we are too. We're very proud of you.
Take care.
And you too, Miss Nellie.
Take care.
We love you both.
Bye.
Hey, how are you?
There you go. As you know, I'm aiming for 365. I'm at about 50 now and have them for all occasions. So this is one of my Valentine's vests. Just a simple applique. This is my Happy Spring vest with a bunny with floppy ears. Kids really love this one. This is my July vest with my Canada flag. These are my Christmas ones. This shows how good you were. Unfortunately, I did talk to the ministry and I will have to report that I feel that you're not safe to drive. And the logic behind that is, even though I tell you, yes, you are allowed to drive, but in Kinmount only, there is no possible way that I can check on you that you're doing that. Let's say if you're driving out of town and if anything happens, you endanger not only your life, but the life of whoever else is on the road.
Oh,
Okay?
you have to do what has to be
What
done.
I have to do, unfortunately.
Yes.
Yeah. Any other questions for me today? No?
Oh, we're not friends anymore.
We're not, I knew you'd be upset. Trust me, it's one of the difficult things I have to do in my job.
Who wants to die, you know, but that happens to everybody. I'm 80 now, so I've had a good run. Yeah, went through one more, you know, without getting hurt too much. So, it happens. Yeah. This hepatitis thing, you're dying by inches, and that bothers me a bit.
I got the CAT scan, and I actually got the letter from the specialist.
Yeah, so
to
it's
the
not all
cardiologist.
gone though, is it?
No. And unfortunately, I guess it will never be gone.
No, I know that. I know that, yeah.
Because the medication is not a cure, but it decreased
yeah,
in
it's
size quite significantly. Now tell me, what are your plans for winter?
I don't know. We're going, like to go to Florida, but I don't know. I'm a little scared there too, so. And what? Of course, you have to think about the auction and all that, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm of two minds about it, because on one hand I would say go and enjoy the sun, it will probably do you
but
good.
On the other hand,
On the other hand, if you get worse, and it's possible, then we're in a bind like last winter
that's
trying
right,
to
and
get
I
you
don't
home.
want that.
No.
May Almighty God have mercy on us. mercy on us all. Make us worthy to share eternal life with Mary, the Virgin Mother of God, with the apostles and with all the saints who have done your will throughout the ages. May we praise you in union with them and give you glory through your Son, Jesus Christ.
It took me years to feel comfortable with why I'm here. And if we look at death, the way birds or trees or animals embrace it, there's nothing to be afraid of. But I guess it's just the fact that we want to make sense out of it. We want to see what's beyond that nobody really knows. That scares us.
The body of Christ.
I do see myself as a spiritual person. I do have my own spirituality. We've moved too far away from nature, and really we are part of it. We're just a little bit more evolved.
Hearts? Hearts are trump. Hearts trump. Play when you got 'em, Michael.
Well, King of Hearts.
Pass. You better hold these.
I threw, but not quite big enough.
I had the stick handle there.
So did I.
I was joking that during hunting season, even the dead can walk, which is very true if you look at the pattern in our practice. Very interestingly, nobody's sick. They just don't have time to be sick. They have to go hunting, so everything else stops. I'm heading to Kingston for palliative care course. I have some specific questions right now that I would like to ask, one of which is Pat's case, because she is heading south, so I want to know what to expect. I guess my question is whether she'll need another course of chemo now, and what are her chances, because this is now 2 years since she was diagnosed. What are the chances of her ending up in a crisis again in Florida?
I think she'd be at a high risk of having something happen.
Is she contemplating going without insurance, do you think?
No, she does have insurance. She had it last year too.
Because they're contemplating going without coverage, and they have this envision that if they get sick, they'll just hop on a plane right away, and the $500 plane flight will be much cheaper.
Yeah.
Well, she could have rode into a major vessel.
Oh, she knows, because we did that last year, and it was with insurance. It took us almost 5 days to get her home. She needed a special flight and oxygen and whatnot.
The prognosis of someone with limited stage disease is 18 months median survival, so half do better, half don't do as well.
Right. Part of me is saying, don't go, you're just going to run into trouble, and we'll all have a big crisis on our hands. But part of me is saying maybe this is her last winter, and that's one thing she enjoys, so should I just tell her go anyway? And
well, I wouldn't tell her to do either one.
Of course not. Which, sometimes I'm thinking I'm fairly isolated from the medical community, because there are good things and bad things about that.
Consider moving to Lindsay?
Not really. I love where I live. Oh, I love it.
Not that I want to steal Paul, to pay Peter, but
no.
Because that's a problem if you did, you give up your.
To give up my Kinmount practice? Never.
Never, right?
I'm so committed to that.
Probably lots of our patients will be very happy to get a second doctor, because we have a very long waiting list. We have about 280 people on our waiting list, waiting to become our patients. So let's hope that in the near future we'll get someone else here to help us out.
Our goals and priorities and our mission, if you like, is unchanged from it was as it was in 1996. The first goal is to recruit a second doctor, and that effort never stops. Audrey's sign.
We just have to keep getting the word out there, talk to more people. I think we can advertise in the medical journals, but it's really not going to do us a lot of good.
Then we got to start thinking of the $10,000 or $15,000 that we raise every year as money that we can use as a financial incentive, because that's how the big boys are doing it, and we can't play on the same level as they can, but we can offer other things as well as the money. But we think we've got to be prepared to offer the money too. I mean,
It's supply and demand, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
There sure ain't a lot of doctors in the supply line. And I know the public perception of that is not really positive.
There's no question the crisis is getting bigger. I believe now there's over 500 family doctors required in Southern Ontario. And I understand there was less than I graduated this year, but so yes, it's getting worse. It's worse than it was back in the late 1990s.
I guess it will be up to the politicians to decide whether Canada can afford family physicians, or what's the price if we don't have enough. Okay. Now this is your first pregnancy, right? Okay. 0, 0, 0, 0, and 0. And your expected date was May 25th.
Yeah, but they've changed it now to like May 30th or something.
To here, okay?
Yep.
So this is a little bit cold.
Yep.
So we're gonna try to have a listen. I told you this early in pregnancy is sometimes difficult to hear. Now this is your heartbeat, okay? Nice and slow. There we go.
There it is.
Isn't that exciting? I love this sound. This early in pregnancy is there. Don't cry. Well, maybe it's doing great.
Yeah.
This is exciting. Here, would you like some Kleenex? Good job. Tears of joy, right?
Exactly.
You can hardly wait to get out of here.
Yeah.
And
I
see,
think
this snow came especially for
Yeah,
you to
as soon as
kick
that
you
came,
out.
as the time we went. Yeah. So I guess we're
So
leaving
when
on
are you planning to
Sunday.
leave? Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
You're not wasting any time,
No,
are you?
no. Everything's all packed.
You have your puffers, all of them.
I got all of them. I got everything.
You
yeah.
have your antibiotics.
Uh-huh.
I mentioned that if you need to take the antibiotics, take a whole course. So take the 10 days, and you have still another 10 days there handy. Hopefully you won't need more than that. Hopefully you won't need any.
No.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And other than that, I hope you have a wonderful time.
I think I will.
Oh, you're very welcome. Let me give you a big hug.
Okay.
Take care. Drive safely,
you're such
okay?
a good friend. You
Well,
are. Yeah.
you're nice to look after, so you take care. Nelly wants to hug too.
Take care. Take care,
I'll
Pat.
give you a call.
Okay. You take care, and I'll see you in spring, nice and
Okay.
healthy.
Yeah.
Okay?
Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So we should. You were on a beta blocker before anyway, so okay, just take a deep breath. And then again. Terry has really put his own health aside when this happened, so he stopped all his medications, and then suddenly we started realizing that the cholesterol is sky high and his blood pressure is sky high. Are you getting any chest pains lately, or? Coroner's report was difficult to read, even for me, so no wonder that he's so tormented by it. Nelly told me that you got coroner's report as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you actually read it?
I
Or
read some of it.
some of it? Yeah.
Like how a person's body can go through that much damage.
It was very hard for me to read as well, Terry, knowing, having known Richard. And, it was painful, so I thought we need to go through this together if you want to look at it.
My blood pressure was up that day.
I can imagine, yeah.
But nobody ever really found out what really happened.
No.
That's what really bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't just run off the road.
Yeah.
Not where they did, not in a straight stretch of road.
Sometimes you just have to accept that there is no explanation, that these things sometimes just happen.
Well, I know.
Yeah.
Well, I know. I think that's all I was about to ask you.
Okay. Well, we'll see each other next week then.
Okay. I'll make an appointment with Nellie.
All right.
But don't forget the next one.
Hopefully you won't.
No.
Take care.
Okay. We'll survive, I guess, one way or another.
Okay, bye. Tough. This is a very ill, physically ill man, and this issue with his son just doesn't seem to be getting any easier. Be having a really hard time with it. Well, I'll keep working on it. Take a deep breath and move on to the next. Sometimes I wish I had a few minutes to recover. This is one of the problems with family medicine. If I take these things home with me, yes, I do. Yes, I carry their problems with me. I try very hard not to let them affect my life, my personal life, but it does invariably. That's the difficult part about this time of the year, that I leave home, it's still dark, and I leave work, it's dark again, so I don't really see much of the daylight. And it's only going to get worse. So at least another 3 months of this. Nelly, I'm going over to Pat, okay? If anything happens, give me a call.
Oh. Okay, so it's 1:30 on Friday, February 8th.
Unfortunately, Pat has had to end her winter in Florida. She's very ill. Luckily, Ambrose was able to drive her home. Her prognosis is quite guarded. She's doing very poorly. She didn't want to go to the hospital. She just wanted to be home. And we're trying, of course, to respect her wishes. She is fairly comfortable. We've had a long discussion with the family, and everybody wants to respect what she wanted, which is to hopefully stay at home to the end. Hi, Ambrose. She's a very strong lady, and even now she has a lot of dignity, which is quite touching. But I'm grateful that I've had the opportunity to know her, and I'm also grateful that I can provide this for her to keep her at home. And hopefully we can keep her pain-free and comfortable to the end. And you have to keep going. You can't really dwell on your emotions. You dwell on them at the end of the day. Try to sort them out, but in the meantime, you need to be there for the next person who comes. And the good thing is, of course, after having a really difficult visit, you see a baby, and it really brings your energy and your mood up. And she's not a year old yet, is she?
She's 10 and a half months now.
Yeah, 34. That's what gets you through the day. Pat died peacefully at home, just like she wanted, the same evening, surrounded by her family, her husband, her children and grandchildren. We all said our goodbyes, and then I left. By the time I left, already some of the neighbors were there helping out, making supper, doing the dishes.
Well, I had to rewrite my driver's license. Not rewrite it, I had to do the writing, and then they take you out on the road, the road test you.
Okay. Hey, well, I still don't know how I feel about this, but it seems that they feel that you're okay. The medical report has been approved for Class G license. Okay.
I don't let him drive.
Sorry?
I don't let him drive far anyway.
I don't want to drive far.
Sure. Yeah.
So you don't have any problem there. I just go to...
We've given them all the information. If they feel that this is safe, who am I to argue, right?
I can drive all right. It's not bad. I don't know how
some
my...
days you're really, really wobbly, and those
Yeah,
are the days that
that's
worry
true.
me.
It never seems to affect my driving.
Well, Lila may
doesn't really.
disagree.
Oh, well, maybe. Looks good. I'm too weak today.
Face here somewhere. One eye here, one eye there. This is the top of the head. Face is down here. See that? Okay. The baby's still pretty tiny. There's two hands here. Okay, there, crossing them now. See that? One over top of the other.
Active little fella, eh?
Your head is this way on the screen.
Okay.
Feet are down, baby's head's up here.
Like the life is now and the life is happening already. Also, with Dr. Mihu, the last checkup we had, we heard the heartbeat. We heard the heartbeat and how fast it was going. So it just brings it to life in a very real sense, that little life that's inside. It's incredible.
Every morning there's snow, I come over here and clean up for them, you know. I don't like to see the doctor fall down or Miss Nellie fall down, actually, and those people come early and it's slippery and the snow is deep. So I like to clean up for them, you know, because they're very nice. Both of them treat me like, you know, if I was a king or something, they treat me real good.
Morning. Morning. Bill has become part of our office, even though he's not officially on staff. He sure fills the role. He picks up our mail, he comes in, drops in every single day, and it's something that he just started doing by himself. And we've offered to pay him for it, and he refused. Of course, in New Year's Eve, we had 4 to 5 feet of snow. We got snowed in, and the city forgot to plow us out. It just seems like things will never get brighter or better, or the weather will never improve. After Christmas, many people in this area are laid off, so they will be out of work. They often become depressed or have difficulty coping with it.
The key to living is working.
Okay.
Even when you retire, I think you should keep doing something. Just don't go and sit in the rocking chair, because you won't last there very long.
Hi, Terry. Have a seat. How are you?
Well, tired.
Tired. Why, having a hard time sleeping still, or
Why?
just, yeah?
Blood pressure's off bed. At least it was the other day.
How much of it do you think it's physical and how much is still emotional? Yeah. You're still pretty angry, are you? It's not getting much easier.
So I don't know how to get rid of the anger.
Yeah. You still don't really want to see a counselor, or you are just angry at the world, I guess, at everything and everybody. Yeah. Is your anger now more directed towards somebody, or is just the world still?
The world, just everything.
Yeah.
Some days aren't too bad, then other days are.
You know, once you manage to get over the anger and try to maybe put it to something positive or something constructive, you know, I know it sounds like, what can I do with it? But maybe you can find something like that down the road. We'll get through it, Terry.
somebody asked me here not very long ago if I missed her. I never answered the question. Because you can't be together with somebody that long and then all of a sudden they're gone without missing them. It's going to be easier, I believe, now that she's buried. I went over every day pretty well. Took her over flowers every week. The hardest thing for me is the evenings, for when you come home from working or whatever the hell, nobody here. And the evenings are long. They're getting better now because you'll be able to cut grass and whatnot and so forth. Nothing easy. But that's life, we got to go along with it.
You have to just live with the memories that you've had. Like I've had a lot of good memories that a lot of fathers probably never ever did have. It's life. It's rough. But we all have to deal with that, I guess, in some form or another.
How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. Have a seat. And you?
Well, still got my cold.
Still have your cold?
Yep.
I wonder if it is a cold. Yeah, Kathleen was...
She's a great doctor. But she acts more than just a doctor. She's a friend, too. And like she said, I don't have a magic wand that I can change things for you. Because it's going to be rough, she said. And we'll just all have to work together to get through it. And she does care. She cares about everyone.
Hey, look at that bundle of joy. Congratulations. How are you guys?
We're good.
Hi,
Excellent.
little one. Hello. Welcome to the world. What do you think so far? He's not impressed. No. Have a seat.
Dr. Elena, of course, she keeps me in perfect shape. She looks after me. She thinks I'm her favorite boy, I guess. I don't know, but she looks after me pretty good. You wouldn't ask for a better doctor than her. You know, and my health is excellent right now. I'm in good shape right now.
This week, Dave Ross finally received his insurance settlement. This is a big relief because I know he will need the money given his deteriorating medical condition.
I went down to the green machine to get some money. Lo and behold, I had more than I thought.
We went to the bank to see if they made a mistake.
Yeah, we went into the bank because I said, I don't want to spend money I ain't got, as the man said.
But it's invested in case Dave needs it. He thinks it's for me, and I think it's for him.
No, I don't want it. No good to me.
You might need it.
Yeah. Well, it's paper money. It'll burn where I'm going. Going with my friends, you know.
I think it's a sense of humor that keeps him going.
Final bell. It's a 5, and the bottom of 5, and the mid 5, and the 5, and the mid 5, and the 5, and the final the solder bar. 5, 2, ain't gonna bargain there, the bottom of 2, David, to the bottom of 2, David, on for and 2, 1 now, 2 down.
I've grown really attached to this community, and unemployment is still a major issue here. I wish they had more opportunities, more education, more money. But unfortunately, it is what it is. This is still a very poor community.
You hang it on your wall.
You know, when they come in with a zucchini or with a bouquet of flowers, or with a little baby goat to show me that they just had a new goat, you know. There's just so much honesty there, and I feel so privileged to be part of that.
I don't know how many patients Elena has, but several hundred people, more than that probably, maybe getting close to 2,000, I don't know, are better off today and enjoy a better life because they have better health. Even the people that may even have terminal diseases and that have some sort of quality life today because Elena's here. That's why we're not letting up on this recruitment. We've got to find another doctor. And having been successful once, we're a little more optimistic than we would have been 2 years ago.